1, 2, test. Hello, everyone. We are going to start in about 5 to 10 minutes, yeah? But just so you know, we have a fridge. It's like the first one. There's lots of drinks there, beverages. You can just take it. How are you going to switch this? Yeah.
Like 2 minutes or until
2 minutes? Yeah. We are ready to start, right? Hello and welcome everyone to OLX Masterclass for Product Design. I really appreciate you taking the time for being here today, for you physically here in Barcelona, but also the ones online. We're also streaming the event. So thanks again for taking the time. We are OLX. If you don't know, we connect buyers and sellers through a marketplace. It's a portfolio of various marketplaces in many markets. And we are also rethinking classifieds through agentic experience. And we're going to touch upon this topic through the presentations and panels we have here today. Before we do so, we have a quick quiz. Before kicking things off, we're going to warm up a little bit. Right? So if you can scan the QR code. Yeah, this one. I'm gonna give you a minute. All right, more people joining. We're 9 now, 11. Nice. Yes, I believe. Fran, can you talk to Monica, please? Yeah. So it's not working data here. It's like signal is bad. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we tested before and it was working, but maybe we have more people, right? Oh yeah. So we have the password being passed around. All right, 20 people. Nice. Okay. Yeah, we good? Oh, yeah, over there as well. All right, first question. How many offices does OLX have worldwide? 14, 12, 10, or 8? Wow, well done. 14. Well done. You've done your homework, huh? Okay. Where is OLX global headquarters located? Poznan, Poland, Berlin, Amsterdam, or Barcelona? Wow, 48% Amsterdam. That's correct. Next up. Well, I'll share. Good question. What investment group is OLX part of? Okay. Well, 33% got the process right. Well done. Well done. Next up. How many live AI cases do we have at OLX? 3, 49, 85, or 1,000? $85, but getting there. It's going up. It's just going up by the day. Next question and last one. How many internal AI agents did we deploy so far? 100, 500, 1,200, or 4,100? Well done, well done. 4,100 AI agents. Well, now we can check the leaderboard. Let's see who's gonna win, huh? Paulina. But is Paulina around? Because you also have folks joining online, yeah? We are brainstorming about the prize, right? We discussed a trip to Ibiza, and I don't know, but we didn't get to an answer, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you so much for participating. Yes, and AI has already changed the way we work, we collaborate, and how we are shaping products for customers as well, right? So this is already a reality. What we're going to talk about today is how design is navigating this AI transformation. I'm your co-host, Ika Rubioni. I'm the head of design for the real estate unit. And we also have here.
All right, and I'm Roger for the locals. I'm head of design at OLX, and it's a pleasure to be co-hosting this masterclass together with Icaro. We got an amazing agenda tonight for you. We're gonna have two presentations. Build a system, not just the prompt by Joao. We make things and we make them matter by Rafael, our guest speaker. We'll get some oxygen time. That's the break in other meetups. We will just pass for 15 minutes. Here at the crew in Barcelona, we'll have some drinks for you. Online, you can have a bio break. We will be moving over to a panel. We got 3 panelists this afternoon. We'll have a discussion, a conversation. We will be challenging each other. We will end up in agreements or disagreements. We want that tension from the room. So from craft to orchestration, what does it mean from the designers operating today at OLX? We want to resolve questions, we want to clarify, we want to answer everything that you would like to ask us. So we will be moving over to Q&A. Before we wrap, we have an amazing rooftop here in Barcelona. I'm sorry for the ones online that won't make it, but for the rest, we invite you to come and have some food and drinks while we connect. So, with no further delay, I want to quickly introduce yourself to the speakers. So, Joao, designer at OLX, Rafa, our guest speaker. Then moving over to our panelists with Julia coming from Poland as a panelist, Anastasia from Portugal, and Matteo from Poland as well. So we'll get time to introduce themselves much better, but for now, I think it's time to once again show the QR from Slido. It's the same link that you used already, so you don't need to switch off over another tab. Use again the same link that you had access before. We'll be opening for Q&A as well in the same Slido link. Are you ready? Are we ready? Yeah? So I think it's time for the first presentation, the first masterclass.
Hey everyone, is it working? Yeah? So I'm very happy to be here with you today in Barcelona. How are you feeling today? Good. Yeah? Good? Yeah, nice. So I'm João Casaca. I'm a senior product designer at OLX, and I work for the Motors Marketplace, where I am shaping the experience for professional dealers who want to sell their vehicles. Okay, and within that, I'm responsible for all the lead management experience. So basically, when a buyer sends a message or a call to a professional dealer to buy a car, I design everything that happens after that, from the initial conversation until the sale is made. And here, I'm gonna talk to you about building the system, not just the prompt. And I want to make it personal, so I'm going to tell you about how my experience has been with AI while doing all of this, okay? So until a few months ago, I was using AI the way most people start off, just opening a chat, asking for something, getting something back, nudging it a bit, closing the tab, opening a new one in the next day, and starting all over again. And for me, the issue with that was that every conversation with AI was starting from zero. I was doing the same requests, describing the same things. AI had little memory of who I was and little sense of what I was building. It was just, here's the task, and go. And it was working, but I was not using AI in the most thoughtful way. And let's acknowledge something. Now, with AI, as designers, we are being asked to do more, to think more strategically, to deliver more and faster, all at the same time. So speed and access to tools are now table stakes. Everyone can do it. So what differentiates your output is your judgment, the domain knowledge that you have, your standards, the way you think through a problem. Make sense what I just said? Yeah, I'm seeing some people nodding. But don't get me wrong, I still believe that prompts matter. A good prompt is still the difference between a useful output and a very frustrating one. But I realized that what I was missing was all the layer that comes before the prompt, the context system. So for me, the shift was trying to spend deliberate time here, building the system. A set of files that I can carry with me throughout every conversation. And each file answers a different question about who I am, in what I'm working, how I think through problems. And the good thing is, when I started building this, it was more or less at the same time when we started having access to code in OLX. So I was able to use that as a tool to build my own system, which was amazing. But I want to show you how I use this in my everyday tasks. Remember when I told you about my domain being lead management? So some time ago, I had to build a vision and strategy deck for my scope to explain what we want to do for the next fiscal year, what we want to work on next. And it had to be highly visual, very tight on the domain, and well written. So I had my system in place. I could use some of these pieces, like layers on top of each other, to help me get to something. And having this system really made the collaboration with AI much better in terms of the output that I could get and how fast I could get it. Because AI knows my domain already. So it knows what lead management is. It knows what the motors vertical is. It understands our context. And it sounds like me, the output. So it does not sound like very generic AI content, AI-generated content that I have to review from scratch. And that really shortened the distance between an initial output and the final output that I got by collaborating with AI. And I still brought my judgment to the final content, and also my direction and my craft on the visuals. So AI informed the work, but I still owned it. I decided how I wanted to interact with AI. I decided what to keep, what to push for, and what to throw out. Yeah? But this was still not enough. I mean, this was just the first step for me. So I wanted to take this a bit further. I had all the context layer sorted out, as I just said. But I realized that there was a layer that I hadn't built yet, that I wanted to have it there at the tip of my fingers wherever I need it, which was the standard of my thinking. So I started wondering, what if I could elevate and challenge the way that I'm making my product decisions while I'm working? How can I do that? What brains can I have in the room with me while thinking through this? But not as having a generic AI assistant just talking with me. I wanted a specific way of thinking, like from people that I admire in the way that they are thinking. So I decided to test something. And I brought Brian Chesky into the room. I mean, I love Airbnb as a product. Who doesn't, right? I mean, it's beautiful, it's very well thought. And what I like about the way that Brian thinks is that he pushes ideas to their absurd extreme, and he gets something real out of that. So for me, that was the perfect challenge when I'm getting too close to my own work, and I might be missing on something. And also Nanyu. What I like about Nanyu is like he doesn't design for everyone. He's very conscious about the design decisions that it makes. That's why Linear, I don't know if you guys know the product, it's a project management tool. That's why it feels very clear and very deliberate throughout the whole experience. So these two, I can say that they are my two main references when it comes to product thinking. But I was still not happy. I wanted to broaden a bit my horizon. And I was building all this system with Claude. So I asked Claude, what other perspectives can I bring into the loop to complement these two perspectives, but also to challenge them and to challenge me? And Claude brought Jason Fried into the loop, but also Shreyas Doshi. And what I did was embed these four thinkers, or these four ways of thinking, into a skill that I could reuse every time I'm going through this process myself. And I designed it in the way that I can have two different modes. A first one to help me shape an idea if I'm at the start of something. And a second mode when I already have a direction, but I want to stress test it before committing to it. And this skill plays out as a live conversation. So it was not something that I wanted to automate, like giving something to AI and getting something back at the end. No, I really wanted to sharpen my thinking. So a live conversation felt like the right way to do it for me. And I want to show you how it actually works. So we are in shaping an idea mode. This is how my code looks like, connected to my folder in my system, the lead management project. I have my skill there, and I just start with a brief. Translate the lead management strategy into a concrete enough direction that I can align across teams, because I'm not working alone, right? I have a team and several teams with whom I have to align and make decisions on. And the first step is to ask me, what have I thought through already? And what still feels unresolved for me? AI has access to all the context, right? But what it's asking me, it's my judgment on top of that context that it already has. And that's the starting point. And after that, the four thinkers come in line asking their questions. And some of those questions, they stop you because they make you realize that you haven't decided on everything, despite the fact that maybe you thought you had. And some stuff that AI brings, they don't make a lot of sense to you, so you push back. And you explain to AI why you're pushing back on that. And while you're doing that, you're actually thinking through it to explain your point of view so you can sharpen your idea. And other times, AI can bring something new to the table, something that you haven't thought of. And you sit with that, and you question it. Sometimes you keep it, sometimes you throw it away. And what this does to you, at least that's how I feel it's doing to my thinking, is like it's helping me to differentiate what's already concrete enough and helping me not hiding in vagueness, so I can get to a very concrete output that I can keep on building on. And the output that I usually get out of this are experience principles, the direction of the product in one sentence, what's the minimum bar that I'm aiming for, what I'm optimizing for above everything, what I cannot sacrifice in my product, but also how the product should feel like, and what are the assumptions that are still worth checking with my team, with whom I'm working every day. What are the risks to watch for? What are the changes that this is going to make for the user? And also what the product is not. And this framework gives me enough for me to set a direction with my team moving forward. And actually this was what allowed us to build a good enough prototype that we are confident enough to put in front of users to validate a direction. So it's not a final product, but a direction that we are able to validate and that we are confident enough about doing it. And building this skill, I think it made me answer the most important question for me yet. What does good product thinking actually looks like to me? I didn't just ask Claude to help me think through product decisions. I made it very explicit what that looks like to me. What are my standards in product thinking? And that also elevates how I'm doing stuff with AI, because I also specified how I want to interact with it, as I explained previously. And what started as simple steps, like defining good in one area of my work, or writing the product domain of my context, or even building a skill for my most repeated task. It has grown into a system where I can rely a lot these days. I mean, it's layer on top of layer. It's not isolated files. They work together. But, and this is important to acknowledge, I struggled at the beginning, okay? I didn't figure all this out on my own. I mean, AI can be overwhelming. You have a lot of stuff happening all around you, a lot of tools, a lot of resources that you can use. So for me, an important step was to acknowledge that and to make myself vulnerable about that. And I reached out to a friend and asked him to help me get into AI in a more meaningful way. And let me tell you that that conversation changed everything for me in how I approach on building this system for myself. And I realized that sometimes what you just need is someone to hand you a starting point and say go. So if you haven't been doing this yet, let this talk be your starting point for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to open some space for, we're going to do a Q&A. So anyone has any questions for João? I want to say as well that João has many resources, so you can always reach out to him afterwards as well. But yeah, we've got one here. Would you like to?
Where should I begin to learn about skills and AI, and how can I implement them in my daily life? I can tell you where I started. Some of the resources that this friend shared with me was basically courses in Claude that are available online for free. For example, there is a very interesting one called AI Fluency from Anthropic. For me, I mean, it was an eye-opening course because it touches the basics, but it helps you build on the foundation on how you want to interact with AI. And then I did a second one about how to use Cowork, Claude Cowork. So that set the stepping stones for me to start building my system. I can share the links of both courses after. And I think that the way that you can start implementing them in your daily life, it's those 3 simple steps that I shared. I mean, just start by defining what good looks like in your domain. For me, I started with my communication style. So what good communication looks like to me. Then I thought about what's the most repeated task that I have in my day-to-day that I don't actually want to do. And I built a skill for that. And then I started writing with the help of Claude about the context of my work with management. So those are 3 small steps that you can start doing. I mean, you have the knowledge already. You know the domain. So just start writing it with AI. I mean, you don't have to write everything from scratch. How did this influence collaboration with cross-functional partners? What was the reaction from your product and engineering counterparts? Okay, this is actually a good question because I'm mostly using that in my me time, okay? So we work in a team, but usually before a discussion with someone or before I step into the discussion, I need time for myself to gather my thoughts and to form an opinion about something. So I mostly used this skill that I just showed in those moments. Okay, I can also share with them, then they can reuse it on their own time. But what I feel is that it actually strengthens the discussions because I have a more concrete point of view when stepping in, and I'm not just loose or without an opinion when starting a discussion from scratch. So I don't see it as a replacement, for example. I see it as something to help me when I need to do my own thought. Which plan of code you use and how much tokens this kind of skill consumes? Honest answer, I have no idea. I don't actually know what is the plan that we have at OLX on an individual level.
Enterprise.
At the enterprise. But I can tell you that for the moment when I was building this skill, I was not much worried about the amount of tokens that we are consuming for that. But lately I've been thinking about revisiting just because of that, because if the skill is too long, I mean, if the context files are too long, that will consume more tokens. So I can tell you that I'm reaching a point in my workflow where I feel I need to revisit it and optimize for that.
I can add to that a little bit
Yeah.
here. We are creating systems as well to optimize the way we consume tokens across the org, right? So I think over time we've become better and better, right? And I think it's, yeah.
Free for a new project if it's good enough or too busy. What? No, I'm not planning on changing jobs at the moment, so not available. What does your boss says about AI? Fran, do you want to take this one?
He's here in person. Yeah, and anyone wants to elaborate, or maybe it was, I'm not sure if it was on anyone online as well. Before Fran takes the mic, I also want to mention that, you know, beyond that, OLX has been investing a lot on AI, right? And it's been very exciting couple of months and years, and we've been optimizing the way we work, we collaborate, as I said before, right? How we are delivering value back to the customer as well. I think that's the ultimate goal we have, especially as a design team. And we are also rolling up the sleeves, right, and trying to find the ways ourselves as well. So there's lots of ambiguities and unknowns, and I think as a community we're trying to bring answers to those points as well. And I think we have that environment also, because that's very important as well.
Yeah, if there's something I can add on, I think AI is really challenging a lot of the paradigms we are used to in terms of how we work, what we deliver. And I think as Icaro mentioned, I think the investment is going to happen more on the infrastructure and on the systems thinking, especially touching on what Joao shared today. I think that's something we can scale also across the company. But then, yeah, there's so much we can deep on this conversation. Let's stay within the topic of Joao.
Yeah. Okay, so next one. How can we keep Claude from getting overwhelmed when we give him a lot of work? Okay, usually what I do is I try to break it into small tasks, and I try not to fill the context window within a conversation a lot, because the more you go into tasks in the same conversation, the window fills, and you actually start having worst answers. So I tend to be a bit mindful of that. That's why I have the projects, I have the system, so I don't lose the context. So every time I need something new from code, I start a new session. Even when building the deck that I was showing you, that was not just one conversation. I had several conversations because I didn't do it in one afternoon. I do it through several days. So I would start a new conversation on top of what was already built. And sometimes I even ask Claude, I mean, should I start a new session? What do you think? And he tells me, yes. Yeah. You mentioned that the direction remains with you. Could you elaborate on what you mean by that? Okay, so what I mean by that is I keep on being very mindful on what I want to do and why I want to do stuff. So I use AI mostly for the speed or for the ability to easily get me a starting point on what I'm doing based on the context that it has. But I would say that asking the right questions, ensuring that I'm going towards the right problem framing, or even judging on what Claude is giving me, if it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, if it resonates or not. That's where I mean about the direction, being very deliberate on what my end goal is and on the steps that I need to take to reach that end goal. What do you not use AI for and why? I would say it depends on the case. So every time I have something that I want to do with AI, at the beginning I spend time thinking about, okay, what do I want to delegate or not, depending on that. Sometimes I even ask Claude to build me a plan of, okay, I want to do this with you. What do you suggest that you could automate, and what do you suggest that I should keep it for myself? But usually, nowadays, what I still like to keep for myself, for example, all the visual part, I still feel that AI is not there yet, or at least in the system that we have nowadays. So for me, it's easier to build that from scratch, from templates that I have, or this and that. And I enjoy it, to be honest. So I want to keep that part as well. I want to automate what doesn't give me pleasure to do. But for example, illustrations or icons, I mean, I tell AI what I want, I have a prompt for that, and it generates. So yeah, and then back to the direction, the judgment, the taste, I mean, on the, on what are the main references that I want AI to drink for, like what I did for the skill, those 4 thinkers, you know, that's what I don't delegate. Or for example, in that example, I delegated 2 of them. I told them, for me, what matters are these 2, the first 2, right? Chesky and Anu. But I asked AI for an opinion on the others. And it gave me 5. And from those 5, I chose 2 based on what he was describing. So it depends. Yeah.
Is your boss in the system as well? No.
Not yet. I would love to.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
you.
much. Yeah. Really nice. All right. Now we're going to have our guest speaker, Rafa. Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Rafa. I want to analyze the audience first. Beautiful room. I'm a senior product designer at Jimdo, and I think that's the polite way to introduce myself. I'm just a guy who likes building stuff and making things. I'm a designer. I would like to start by making a question to the audience. And it's, I think we have a creative audience, right? It's how much time does it take for you to, I don't know, create a landing page or run an ad, any piece of work? And so we can get to know each other a bit better, maybe. Anyone in the room? Doesn't matter. Ideally, without AI? Okay, few days. Okay. I think that we know that by now this is changing, right? And what the AI is allowing us to do is to produce things in a much faster speed that we couldn't. That wasn't possible early, right? And it's kind of amazing you think of it, because it's the first time in mankind history that this is happening, to be able to produce outputs at such a crazy speed. To me, it's still amazing. It's a bit like science fiction, right? I want to start with an example. Some of the things I was telling you, I like to build things, make things, create stuff, and one of those things I was trying out was UGC Pack, which is kind of a side project when I finished working, which is companies normally have this pain, performance marketing specifically, where they need to run ads to not become stale, because otherwise the algorithm, if they run campaigns in meta ads, doesn't keep displaying these ads to users. So they need to renovate these ads so the algorithm keeps displaying them to users and they keep engaging, right? So I thought, like, what's a very cool use case that I could try my hands to discover what AI looks like, and hopefully I can decode the black box or this whole universe of AI, which looks kind of like Black Mirror, is science fiction, a bit creepy still, but let's see what's inside. And I decided, okay, I like this paint to cover, so let's give companies script to finish that in an hour. I will run through it very quickly and how it works inside, because I don't want to get too much into details. That's not an important part of the presentation. But yeah, if you think about the whole, as Joao was mentioning, and the system and not the prompt, I just imagine like how it would like the final product, right? Like the outcome, how the vision could be shaped. And then I imagine working myself with a team, right? Where I could have different agents, put them together, but still me behind orchestrating everything. So you have like the first one, which writes the script. You can use Claude or any other LLM, right? To generate the script, which in turn will generate the image, like a static image. You can decide the screen, the lightnings, the shadows, the character, how they look like, how they behave on camera. You can generate the character sheet. You can generate everything you want, right? And then you can generate also the audio. Then you turn the image into a video using another generation model with video. Then you put everything together. You make the video match the voice with lip sync, and then the subtitles are put together, and everything is assembled using Remotion or FFmpeg or any other software. So the cool thing about this to me was to find out how easy and how, let's say, not costly was to generate an output that before it would take teams, right, entire teams. But then I started to come to some realizations, right? And the first one to me was that design wasn't just screens. This is the first thing that I could learn going through that discovery of what's inside the black box, right? I just noticed design is just on screens, right? You're seeing the product, you're seeing the laptop, or you're seeing the iPhone, you're using it like on a daily basis, but you're just seeing the outcome, right? Like not all the decisions that were behind. So that's what I think design is, right? So you have this little cute robot, which actually is that black box, and it's written a paper. The important thing is that you can write that paper. Like you can orchestrate how the system behaves. You can dictate and direct and this is kind of cool because it works as live, right? You are, I don't know if this sounds too cliche, but you are creative directors of your life, and I don't know if you are aware of that. Like you can direct and create anything that you want. You can design everything that you want from scratch. You're doing that on a daily basis. You are making decisions that are kind of invisible, but they're taking you to an output, to something that then becomes your normal daily basis and your reality. But you design them, you create them from scratch. You're creating all the time, even if you don't realize. So the final design is the decisions that go behind. Right, when I was building this system, I first intended to build it as automatic as possible. And then I thought, okay, this is great. I can turn a system into customer base, then AI produces the output, then it gets delivered, and then I do nothing. Well, it didn't work quite like that, because then the content that was started to get generated looked kind of uncanny valley, very creepy, very cringy, like characters wouldn't say the right things. The quality was a mess. There was no quality whatsoever, right? So I needed to put myself into the equation just to check how things were connecting together, how the dots were building that part of the system, right? So these two OKs actually is you, right? It's your judgment, your criteria, your expert judgment. And all of you, I think, all of us in this room, we know this, we have that skill, right? And this is what actually keeps the AI slope, which I don't know if you're familiar with this term in the room. Okay, great, thank you. So AI slope actually is this term that arises and can be defined, I don't know how would I say it, like what the output that the machine, the system, like the AI produces, and it's this kind of content soulless, you know, without soul, meaningless, you know, you need to understand very well why the machine said that, and sometimes it's very surprising because it keeps saying nonsense, something that you would think it actually works great, right? And it does. But you need to be very careful about the output. So this is what AI's law means, right? The output, the things that the machine, the result that the machine will give you, which kind of seems without soul, right? Boring. But the important thing to me here is, as in life, right? These are terms that, you know, a trend comes in the industry, then we all become very aware of that trend, and it starts to make noise, and we create new terms to define reality, and we say AI slope, but AI slope, we decide what exists and what it doesn't exist. If we want the AI slope to exist, it will exist. If we don't want the AI slope to exist, it won't exist. AI slope is just the output of the machine if you don't refine it. But if you refine it and process it, then it's as if you are working with a team, right? It's the ideas that you have refined with your own judgment as a creative, as a designer, as an architect, as an engineer, manager, as a product owner, as a human being. So I came to the realization, okay, if I can produce faster outcomes, but then I still need to be there to check about the quality of these outcomes, then something is clear, and it's speed measures making, quality measures meaning. I don't know if you have heard this sentence before or are familiar with it. Okay. So in the IT industry, it's repeated like quite a few times, output versus outcomes, right? Just to exemplify what I mean is everyone wants to hang a picture on the wall, but nobody wants to buy a drill. They want the final result of the experience, to have the picture hung in the wall, right? That's what outcome means, the final experience versus the output, which would be the drill. So the good thing about this is that these two are not mutually exclusive. So you can have the machine to produce faster outputs, but you can work along with the machine to measure the quality of these outputs. And that's a great thing, I think, that we didn't have before. It's something crazy, which is enabling all of us to create things that did not exist yet, but in a faster speed. So I could tell that there are 4 things that remain seem kind of obvious, you know, but like most of the obvious things in life, they get a bit invisible, you know, and then they become normal things that you do on your daily basis, and then you just don't see them, right? So the first one is you start from the whole. If you want to create something that doesn't exist, it doesn't matter, you know. I don't really know the type of profile that we have in the audience, but if you come from the creative fields and you want to bring something into reality, it starts with an idea, a vision, you know. And it's sometimes crazy because creative people oftentimes have crazy ideas and crazy visions, you know. So you need to imagine the whole vision, the universe that's in your mind. And then you need to understand how to name the things into that universe that is in your mind, that idea, so that you can align your team or the people that's around you, right? because people are different and many of us speak into different languages. We have marketers, engineers, right? The third one is choose your battles. If you think about this vision, you need to cut it because resources are limited. Like, sadly, we cannot make everything happen, right? We need to choose what do we want to produce. And then the important thing, one of them, like the last one, is hold the coherence. Now that I've scoped down that vision, right, how can we hold the coherence? So this is the first one. So on top, it's you. So I consider everyone in the room a reality shaper. Like, as I was mentioning, and I really mean this, like, it's not part of, I mean, it's part of the presentation, but it's not bullshit. I really think like people are reality shapers. Like anything you can imagine on, you can bring into reality if you really put well your focus, right? And the connection is with the outcome. As I was explaining, you need to think about the whole vision, right? What's in the middle is just what produces the output, the middle thing, the resources. For example, I wanted to generate a script. I wanted to generate a video, but I can't generate a video without the script. And I can generate the video without the image, without the first image. I understood that these are parts of the process that will take me to the final outcome. But I couldn't have understood that if I didn't think about the whole vision, about the final vision, right? The second one is, once you understand, right, how to scope that outcome, that vision, imagine it as a picture, then the next thing is how to name the things, right, that make that vision. Like, you get into the room, and then you have your product owner. My colleague, Medina, makes fun of me sometimes. I say hi to her if she's watching this. I love her, because she says, you're always talking about mental models. You're always talking about mental models. I don't quite understand, right? But I think it's important to name the things right, because everyone in the room is speaking a different language. And this also applies in life, right? People have different perceptions with different understandings, different fears, different understandings of the world, and that's completely okay. You just need to understand that vision so as to name it properly and translate the language that everyone is speaking in the room into one language only, which is the outcome, the end-to-end experience of what you want to achieve, right? Of what you want to bring into reality. The third one is, I think it's important, as I was mentioning, if you have this vision as the whole, you need to scope it down because resources are limited. And most specifically in SaaS companies, IT, right, where speed means everything, otherwise competitors have already brought the product that you were thinking into reality. By the way, Rick Rubin's, which I will recommend a book afterwards, explains this very well, right? That ideas are out there and they're just looking for someone to make them real. You know, if you don't make them, then someone else will cut up that idea and bring them into reality. So you need to be very aware of how to scope that down and ultimately hold the coherence. So in the old world, let's say, where AI didn't exist, design teams were, let's say, it was more difficult to go off pattern because components were finite, right? You had a limited number of resources. You know how to structure them down into the design system. The less components that I have that cover the most number of use cases, the better. So if I can have one card with multiple variations, you know, that's how you save like these resources. But then in the new world, it's a bit difficult, and it's starting to become difficult, as Joe was mentioning, thinking about the whole, because it's more easily to go off pattern if you can generate thousands of things with just a prompt, right? And you can generate multiple variations. There are standards that are already decided by companies around and have already been tested, and they work, right? So it's very important that you rely on things like your expert judgment, that are oftentimes a bit underrated. It's very important that you choose the right battles to pick, and if, for example, you have already something that is working, then keep it working. Of course, it also depends on the stages where you are of the product life cycle, right? If you have more bandwidth or you don't. But, okay, this brings me to the end of the presentation, which is, I think by now it's a bit clear that a piece is cheap, right? Like, okay, everyone can produce something, anything, with AI, the right tool, and you can just send the prompt and you will get an output, you will get something, you will get a resource generated, an image, a text, an audio, it doesn't matter. But what matters is the whole, right? The system, the vision behind, and all the decisions that make that vision possible. But why? Does anyone have any idea or can think of why this matters so much? I think that's a completely valid question, you know. And, you know, if you can think about the vision, that's completely going to take you to the direction where you are going to stand out from someone else that thinks only about the piece. And this is happening to companies in the market that doesn't think about the end-to-end user experience. And they're experiencing costs, you know, like this is not just for the sake of mentioning this. There are completely fields, literature studies about this, right? For example, the poor software costs US like 2 trillion. Like there are studies about this, about why good quality design matters. What's most important to me is that this is important to think about the vision, because when we are using a product, for example, as I was mentioning, when I'm using the laptop or the MacBook Pro or an iPhone, or I drive in a car that I like, or I don't know, using a coffee machine that I love because it's got great experience, we're only seeing the product, right? We're only seeing we're only using it to solve something that before wasn't able, we had a problem. So it becomes invisible, right? We just take it for granted, but actually your brain is translating you all the decisions that were behind. And if I'm looking to this laptop, you see all these things behind, right? You see the color, the spacing, the copies, the motion, all these things that made possible to bring that product into reality and make it happen. But there was someone on the other side thinking about this whole vision, right? Before it even came into existence or anyone could think about it, right? So I just want to encourage everyone in the room, to really think about the systems and the whole visions and the whole products and the end-to-end aspect of things, not just the piece, because ultimately is what you're going to get, right? You just have only the steps before clear. So I just want to say, to end the presentation, saying let's make things, but let's they matter, right? Both are not mutually exclusive. We can get faster and have more speed, but we can also keep the quality. And I think that's the challenge that we're living nowadays as designers. And I think it's amazing because we're writing the history, 10 years from now, we will look backwards and we will say, okay, AI is like this, but why it's like this? Because we took the decisions that could allow AI to be like that, And we can decide it, so let's make things, let's make them matter. And that's it.
Well done, well done. Thanks so far. All right, let's do some Q&A. Feel free to
okay, loved your optimistic framing. What would you say to a designer that is scared or hopeless about the future? This is a great question. I mean, I didn't start designing, I started studying English philology, English literature. I didn't even know that there was a whole industry of design, and I think many of us experienced that, because the hard part about the system is that doesn't prepare you to understand everything that's out there. You need to get to experience it yourself, and that's a hard part, because you don't always have the resources to experience that. I didn't have money at the time. It was difficult until I just simply thought, and maybe it's very well connected, but I just thought, like, where do I want to be like 5 years from now? I want to be building things. I studied English literature and I didn't love it, it wasn't my thing. So in the meantime, I was designing things. I don't know, I started designing posters. Like, I just needed to be in touch with the computer. I don't know, it sounds too good to geek, but it is what made me happy. So I think that eventually all the dots naturally took me there, and rather than optimistic framing, I think it's just action, like just take action. Even if it's very small step, that very small step is better than nothing, like take action. The world is yours. It's not optimism, it's just reality. Optimism is a fake word. It doesn't exist. Like, you need to create reality. What's the name of the book you have mentioned? Also, which others do you recommend? Okay, the name of the book is The Creative Act, and it's Rick Rubin's, the author. Rick Rubin is a music producer. What I find particularly interesting about his story is that he didn't know anything about music, and it has become kind of like a cliche, and like it's very much quoted nowadays, but I love this story because it's a case study. The guy knows nothing about music and has produced music for the greatest musicians of all time because of the way he experiences ideas and he makes them come to life, and the kind of advice and mentorship that he gives to others, And I really think is the real approach to life. Like experiencing life as if you were a child for the first time, without social standards, normal conventions. Just put yourself out there and experience, see what happens, Take the opportunity. How can you share or expand this mindset with other people across your organization? This is the most challenging one question. I think you don't need to be a leader to lead. I know that we are all leaders. There's no thing like leaders. You just act, and with actions you demonstrate, like with the example, right? If you like life to be in one specific or determined way, then you just apply those principles, and then you will attract people that think in the same way. So I think it's with the very little actions, the ones that are invisible, like being more open, more close to your partners, to your colleagues, to your family. Listen to what they really care about, because there's so much information, there's so much powerful information in these words that you are probably taking for granted, and in that information is the key to understand how to expand that mindset, because then you can create better allies and so on and so forth. There are other techniques, right? Like, I remember Alberto Romero, he was my first manager at Factorial. Shout out to him. He's one of the greatest mentors I've ever had. And the piece of advice that he told me about, maybe he kills me if I don't remember, but it was nemawashi, the term, something like with negotiations in Japanese, like basically get early buy-in. It's more difficult. You expose yourself to a room full of 100 people to get that buy-in, but rather you keep getting that buy-in early and one-on-ones. There's so much literature about this that you can read to learn better how to expand this kind of mindset across the team. Are you shipping code to production? What's your take on that? I just started a few weeks ago, and it's mostly related with UI changes. I'm a bit skeptic yet of shipping code to production myself, because then I feel like I'm an imposter and I'm like shipping things fast without taking too much care about the quality. So I prefer to leave that thing to engineers. But the way that we've been working on, for example, is like preparing the front-end side of things in a prototype. so that the engineers can connect the wires behind like the business logic and everything, so it becomes faster, and still keep both fields of expertise alive, one of its on its own, like design and then engineering and then collaborating. Which AI agent do you use to create the video? I started with Kling, Kling 3.0, which generates the video out of a static frame, a static image frame, and then I changed to seed runs. I think it's called seed runs 2.0, and just depends on the video, on the kind of video that you want to get. There are models that are better trained for one result or the other.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you so
very
much. Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again, Rafa. We have a 15 minutes break. So for the ones here in the room, we have a fridge with lots of beverages, toilet outside. For the ones online as well, you can wait for in 15 minutes. We're going to be back. Yeah, you can just follow the screen.
Did you all have a
One,
drink? Cold drinks?
1, 2,
In
1,
such
2.
a hot, warm June, month of June in Barcelona? Wonderful. We're almost ready to get started again. So let's just get the people on the virtual side joining us. I think we're ready, right? Let's test mics. Is your mic open?
Do you hear me? Is it good? Okay.
1, 2. Can you test this?
1, 2. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Give me the mic. Give me the mic, please. If there's anyone who can just double check the mic for us. All right. So welcome back, everyone, as well the folks over the virtual. I want to start with one confession. I have a passion. I have a passion for decoding acronyms. Do you like acronyms? I mean, we work at OLX. We're talking about AI for design. We've been ages actually designing UI with UX, with UCD, user-centered design, right? We do, I don't know, information architecture, right? There's many acronyms we could talk. It's just great to walk this walk, to make this transformation together, to move from craft to orchestration. And I think that we see it on that intersection, right? At OLX, moving from craft to orchestration, getting to speak about AI. And we want to walk together. We want to make that walk together with you as well this afternoon. So we have here a fantastic, and I'm going to be asking for the clicker. Thank you so much. We have a fantastic panelists. I'm going to get to introduce themselves. We're going to be talking about AI and what AI does mean, like in the world that we are living today, the transformation we are experiencing today. We're going to get a few questions for these folks. We're going to be opening for Q&A afterwards. So we're kicking off now the panel discussion. I want to first start with Julia.
Hi all. So I'm Julia, as you can see, and I am a senior product designer in OLX for 2.5 years, I guess. And I came here from Krakow, so I'm really happy to get more sun in Barcelona than it is in Poland. On a daily basis, I take care of a few categories that are included in services. So we have some core services, this is how we call them. So everything related to renovations or giving a haircut to your dog, for instance. This is also something that you can find on OLX. Looking for some tutoring, maybe for some beauty services. So this is one part. We also take care of accommodation, which we called STRs, another acronym. So it stands for short-term rentals. So if you are looking for a place to stay, and also we take care of item rentals. So if you're going to stay somewhere and you need a car, for instance. And based on my work and especially like recent experiences related to AI and with designing with AI, especially UI, I believe that your design system should be written in text, because otherwise it's just a pile of pixels. And this is like you sending a screenshot to AI and telling it, make it work. So in order to make it efficient, I believe you've also heard about it in previous presentations, I believe it should be written down.
1, 2, yeah, now it's working, all good. Hi, I'm Anastasia, and I'm based in Portugal. Anyone from Portugal in the audience? Woo, tudo bem? Hey. And yeah, but originally I'm from Russia. Any Russian speakers today? Woohoo! Привет, привет. And I work in motors classifieds together with Joao, but I'm working on buyer's experience. So every time you, for example, search for a car online, every time you scroll for listings, you like something, you save in search. This experience I'm trying to get better. And today I want to talk with you and discuss with guys about that companies are really get hyped about AI features, shipping AI features on productions to users, but do users actually need these features? Let's find out.
And hi, I'm the last one. Can you hear me? Yeah. I want to say buona tarde. Roger, did I say that correctly? No.
Buona tarda.
Buona tarda. Close enough. Sorry for that. I tried my best. I'm also coming from Poland together with you. Yeah. My name is Mateo, and I work at OLX, and I'm responsible for design systems that we do have here. And I'm lucky enough to actually be in the industry for quite some time now. That I've seen one or two revolutions already happening in the industry, be it either, I don't know, transition from Sketch to Figma, or even before that, the hype about mobile first design. And being now more specific to design systems, I do believe that the term has been there for quite some time now, a few years definitely, that companies were investing in that, but they didn't undergo a revolution of such sort yet. But I do think we are on the verge of it, having more AI approach to defining the systems that we operate in daily. So it's exciting.
It's exciting, and it's super exciting to have you here. Thank you, folks, for joining our panel discussion. We do have a few questions for you. We want to expand on this conversation.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it, yeah.
Let's get through the
Sure.
first one. First question for these panelists. What's the most uncomfortable truth about AI in design that nobody in this room wants to hear? Anastasia, what do you think about that?
Yeah, let me start. I think the most uncomfortable truth for me that whenever you create an AI feature, users already have really high expectations. Probably, they use ChatGPT, Claude, and they saw the magic. But you also need to deliver at the same level or very close. And whenever you are not on that level, the trust could be broken. And this is the comfortable truth for me. And Julia, what do you think?
Oh, so many. But I would say this is also related to the thing that Rafa was saying during his presentation. Because we have an access to AI and so many tools that we use on a daily basis related to AI, we design things much better than we used to before. So let's say we do things 10 times better, maybe not better, but faster than we used to. So we are making actually 10 times more mistakes. And also we can encounter many evidences related to AI slop that also was mentioned. So I believe that we need to start thinking about making good decisions related to the output that we see that comes from AI. We need to distinguish those bad ones from better ones and try to focus on a user experience and not only on making as many solutions as we probably we can think of. Mateusz.
Nice one. I would take it even a step further, honestly. For me, the uncomfortable truth, I don't know if this is actually something that no one here wants to hear, but my gut tells me that we're overusing AI in many cases. So this might be something that none of my stakeholders actually here wants to hear, but I do think we too rarely question the whole purpose of using the AI in our cooperation model. We can automate a lot of tasks, but have we actually checked if by automating them we are not creating more bugs, as Julia said, or we aren't actually spending more time on creating the skill or automation that would do it just manually? I like to question myself these days whether I can still do some things by myself.
I have a question for you. What was the the time what you spent creating a skill, for example, but you actually could do something manually faster. Or was there this kind of case?
I remember I tried automating the handoff that I do between the design that it goes to engineering whenever we have some sort of a project. And of course, yes, we do have tools like Figma or whatever to help us with the handoff, but at OLX, we usually try to be more thorough than just handing off Figma. And this sometimes takes a lot of time, but in reality, just creating like a documentation or specs for engineers to implement. In reality, I was back then also quite new to Claude, so I didn't use the stuff that, for example, João mentioned in this presentation about the whole context thing. I ended up, I think, spending like roughly not full 2 days, but almost 2 days, basically working on a skill. When in reality, as I checked later on, those handoffs usually take me about 2 to 3 hours manually. So yeah.
I see, folks, you're navigating it, right? You're walking the walk.
We still need you, Roger.
Discovering as you go. I'm hearing mistakes. I'm hearing learning from the process. I'm hearing some discomfort as well, right? I like it. I like this tension. Let's keep the level of tension. I have a second question for you, folks. Tell us about the moment when reality hit differently from the plan. What broke? What did you assume? And what would you be doing differently next time? Matteo.
I already think recently I had this, I don't know, news shared with me. So I was recently actually using already the knowledge that, for example, João and Rafa mentioned in their presentations about just feeding a lot of context into AI just to make sure my output is actually in a way that I want it to have. So I did it when I was setting up, again, I'm a design system guy, so I was setting up some sort of an automation between our Figma and our code repository for that. And yeah, of course, I wanted to do with Claude at that moment. It went pretty well. Of course, I spent some time doing the input first, providing the context, all of that, creating different skills. The output was also very satisfying. Now, the problem actually came from isolating my work between myself and my Claude agent and not opening up this to a team of other professionals that we have at that we have been working at with OLX on this project. And the problem was that the way I speak with Claude agent is different than my colleagues do. And both are correct, don't get me wrong. It's just that we didn't anticipate that at some point we will need to collaborate together within the same AI model or the same AI project or chat, whatever we call this. And yeah, that was a nice revelation.
Yeah, I think I can jump in with my experience with Cursor, because I've tried a few tools in OLX. So obviously I started with Figma Make because it was the easiest to go from Figma. Then I was trying Lovable. And then at the end, I wanted to try Cursor. And I believe this was the first time I was trying to build something there. And also after designing it and building it in Cursor to deploy it to production. So I had design ready in Figma. It was quite nice, also related to the structure and, you know, frames, auto layout, everything was there. We also have a design system, as you already know. So I thought it would be like easy peasy, just really copying it and pasting it to Cursor using Figma MCP. And it wasn't that easy, unfortunately, because it took some time to build. I was really hopeful that it will turn out nice, but it didn't, and it took me so long to get to the point that I was pleased with the result, because I needed to either prompt Cursor to make some corrections and improvements to the design, or do it myself in the code, because it was much faster and easier than talking to Cursor back then. So for sure, next time I would start with creating a file with context and also creating another file, at least with the components that I wanted to use in that project, to explain in text all the necessities to the cursor. So for instance, like padding, spacings, fonts, size of fonts, colors, etc. Because it made so many like basic mistakes, so that it would be easier and faster next time. What about you, Nastia? Oh,
Wait.
yes,
So
Mateusz?
in the end, you would say that Figma Make and Lovable are not good to prototype stuff because you chose Cursor, or?
No, I think this is just an alternative. I mean, like Figma Make and Lovable are not the same as Cursor because it is like I see. What is the acronym? Another one, ICE, like the environment for coding.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have mistaken the name. So it's not the same. It is much easier to build stuff to then deploy it. But I was just trying new tools. Also, you can do the same thing with Claude, obviously. So I just wanted to find my preference among other tools. Because for testing, for instance, like for usability tests, sometimes it's faster to build something lo-fi, not connected to the design system, using Lovable, in my case. So it depends.
Just don't use Figma Make. That's all I wanted to get.
Okay. And my story, what moment hit me really hard? We wanted to make open text search powered by AI. And timelines were really tight. We need to deliver in 2 weeks. The model wasn't there. It was more like a simple search, keyword search, with some expansion to the harder queries. But what we saw, that users wanted to use it as Claude, as ChatGPT. They put, find me the best car for city with the balanced price. And we're like, wow, that didn't work. And we saw it from the feedback from users. More than half of feedback was negative. And that first touch with our open text search and our users was completely broke. And probably they won't return. And that reality hit me hard, that expectations are now really, really high. And what would I do differently right now? I would take a deep breath and test with a few users. Even though timelines were short, 1-2 users will be already enough to understand that they want a different thing. And we delivered another thing. And that would help to make more informed decisions and talk with stakeholders, say, maybe, we need to do it something differently. That was my lesson from that case.
Thank you, Anastasia. Very inspiring. Don't you think so? I'm really enjoying getting the real experience from folks designing in the era of AI. We spoke about tools.
Just please don't evaluate us later based on those mistakes.
They know performance reviews are coming. We spoke about tools, we spoke about users, right? I want to expand a bit more on this third question that I have for you folks. How did your role change recently with AI? What skills, let's talk skills, did you have to acquire? And are some of your skills no longer useful on your job? So let's cover tools, let's cover a user-centered approach. I want to hear from skills, what had to change for you to adopt this mindset. Julia.
Also, just to start with, IDE, this was the shortcut, not ICE. So just correcting that, I just remembered, sorry. About my role, I think in the past I was thinking that it would be tough for me to be updated when it comes to all the tools, learning how to use them. We've mentioned many of them already, right? So Figma Make, Lovable, Cursor, Claude. So I thought it would be really, really hard to be up to date and to learn how to use them. But actually, the thing that changed the most along my way as a vibe coder is the way of treating AI. Because in the past, I was reaching out to the tool with quick prompt, like 1-2 sentences, just a screenshot or a link, and that's it. So what I was missing was creating more context, like including more files about the initiative, of overall goals, or our users, of past researches that we have done, etc. And now I try to treat the AI like a junior designer who is, maybe learning, maybe just being onboarded to the team. And I try to pass it as many information as possible, obviously, in limits, right? All the things that are needed for this initiative that I am taking care of. So this is something that's changed. So actually speaking to the machine, this is a new skill that I acquired along the way. What about you folks?
Yeah. From my side, I think I became less pixel pusher. I spend less and less time in Figma. Unfortunately, I like Figma, but unfortunately, I spend less and less time with it. But what really, really changed for me is the way how I communicate with my front-ender. Because right now, I can deliver ready HTML file with CSS, but it's just a file. But front-ender is the end and the last person who will wire up everything with the production, with the system. And without this collaboration, the communication will be broken, and you will spend more time on fixing everything. But if you have the right conversation with your front-ender, asking them how we can elevate our work together, how can I help you, and how can you help me? Yeah, that's golden. I like it a lot. And yeah, less Figma right now. Less
Figma, yeah, that's for sure. Definitely less Figma make, folks. Let's keep them in mind. Figma and Figma make are not the same thing. I mean, for me, I remember now that this, how I stepped in to be a designer. I actually first learned a bit of basics of HTML and CSS before I actually started any design-related.
Ancient history.
Ancient history, yeah. Back then I decided, oh no, coding is not for me. I can't imagine myself doing that full time. You know what, folks? I'm doing this full time now. So I checked, and for the past 2-3 weeks, I think, I literally spent a lot of hours just pushing stuff to GitHub instead of pushing pixels like you, Anastasia, in Figma. And that should make me sad, right? But at the same time, it's a bit more exciting nowadays than it was back then when I first tried learning how to code, because there are many more resources available, and AI is one of those resources. Like if AI produces the code, be it a prototype under the hood or whatever, it can also explain it to me what the particular parts of the code or files are doing. So this way I can also learn, and I can learn by doing and not just theoretical knowledge that you can acquire from courses that are online, which is cool.
I want to jump in. Aren't you afraid of making your scope that big?
No, because at the same time I'm also letting some stuff go, right? So I'm also letting go my perfectionism side, because yeah, everyone wants speed now. We're not like, the market is not talking about quality at the moment. This will come probably. At least that's my perception of the upcoming years. But right now everyone wants speed. So it's okay if we sacrifice quality for a moment. Of course, us designers are usually the guardians of this quality anyway. So yeah, it just means that now my focus is on making things, and that's also empowering.
Empowering the Figma stocks, man. Hopefully my investment on Figma doesn't go down tomorrow. But out of any jokes, it was really, really great to hear your experience talking about tools, talking about systems, talking about users, how to deliver meaningful value even at the cost of changing and adapting new tools. Let's move from experience into some takeaways. I want to get sharper. I want to quickly do a round table and get some takeaways. I want the folks here and the folks at home through our streaming, our online streaming, to get something home, something that is actionable, something that they can start using tomorrow. So we will be entering now into the couple takeaways for everyone. First takeaway, question for you folks. What's one thing every designer here should start doing tomorrow?
So I guess I would advise everyone to take their favorite component, maybe the component you use the most, and write 1 or 2 sentences about it, about how it behaves and what it should do and how does it look. And then don't let it stay on your computer, maybe share it with the rest of the team. Maybe you can also try encourage people to do the same. And by doing so, you will build a library that you can use in all of the AI tools for all of the projects.
Good, good. I would like to do this tomorrow. Yeah. And from my side, the tip is go to your front-end developer and ask how you can elevate your work together, how you can optimize your work together, how it can be better in the future. So yeah, just simply ask how we can work together and add AI in our work. Maybe results will surprise you.
Nice. I would say instead of just simply asking, you can, so by asking I mean just opening up a new chat window, you can actually start by creating a new skill that will be reused, either using one of the ideas that were shared today or have added on your own.
Getting new skills. Let me use my skills to move to over the second takeaway section. So 1 year from now, what does an AI designer's job actually look like?
I hate to be the first one on those questions because I seem to misinterpret every question, because in my opinion, in my view, the job on the surface at least wouldn't change as much, at least in a year time frame from now. I do see designers being like true advocates for user needs and combining them with whatever the business requires us to do and making this feasible in order to be implemented actually, right? And I think the essence of that job won't change. The tools that we use for that might change. This might be, I mean, it's changing already. So yeah, I think we're still gonna be the true advocates for user needs. It's just different how we will do that probably.
I like it, being advocates for the users. Actually, that's what we're doing every day, but it's becoming even stronger, and I think we are becoming less pixel pushers, but more like a strategist. Understanding what could be the trade-offs, what could be the next step. So, yeah, less pixels, more strategy. And I'm feeling it already. It's not like 1 year from now. I think it's already happening. one day, tomorrow I will open.
Tomorrow and now 1 year.
Yeah. So time flies these days.
I think I agree with Nastya. Like, I would say that we won't design that much in Figma, maybe more in tools like Cursor or Claude. But still, we are the advocates for the user voice, right? So we should keep that in mind. Also, like, we are orchestrating what input we get from those tools. So I think we should be more skilled at proper prompting and putting the context there, like to not forget about our users.
I will rewatch Joao's presentations to get better with skills and everything.
I'm slightly worried because I guess the expectations were that we will compete with each other and we ended up agreeing, but I guess that's it with the panels and the alignments, right?
Is that okay if you have commitment, folks? So yeah, I'm getting like an explorer and a strategist, an architect. Please, a round of applause for our panel folks. So we're ending right now our panel discussion. We will be moving over to Q&A. That Q&A, it's about everything. We can discuss more from the conversation we had with our panel. We can bring as well the folks, presenters, please join us on the stage. Let's open up as well for a conversation on presentations. All questions are welcome. So you can please take the seat. We're back on Slido. And Icaro, if you want to join us, feel free to join us as well. Are you ready, folks? Ready for the last round of Q&A? Yeah?
Yes.
All right. We have someone on screen. So to Matteo, how do you see design systems evolving in the upcoming years?
I like this one. I see it elevating on the foundations that the design systems were built on. So if we think about design systems are basically a glue that holds your product together when you scale up. When you scale up to different markets, different products in your portfolio, or different team members in your team, depending on the scale, right? And that's where the design systems were needed in the first place. And right now, if you look at it, we are also scaling up, but in the term of tool stack that we have. We have more agents, more models coming out every week, I guess. More ways to consume as well those tools. And the fun fact that we also observed at OLX is that it used to be that the design system were consumed by our colleagues, engineers, designers, all shaping together the final product. Today we added also AI tools to the equation because now we get plenty of vibe-coded prototypes that end up being tested with users and sometimes end up being on production. Of course, it's not the same code, don't get me wrong. It gets validated at some point. But now it means that also AI is one of the users of our design system. So, as I think Julia mentioned that, it has to be now translated into machine-readable format, which sounds, I don't know, challenging, but in reality it's just a markdown file that has all of the instructions for every piece of element that you have in a design system. And that's the first part that I see on this evolution of design system. And now the final point, of course, is a bit ambiguous, but the way I imagine it is that, I don't know, probably someone who asked that question about the design systems have been using design system or creating one. And the uncomfortable truth there is that no one actually reads the documentation. I'm not even sure that AI now reads that, all of that, at least sometimes it hallucinates. But we need to make sure that it is a two-way street now with a design system. So imagine asking currently a question to your design system team, hey, how should I use this, and this pattern, right? You can also do that with an AI, right? If the AI is nicely trained on the right context of your design system. So I see it as a more hybrid because it will still be used by other professionals, meaning humans. So yeah.
Awesome.
Because that's my take.
Thank you, Matteo. We have another question for Joao. What do you think about Gemini? Can it be as powerful as Claude?
I haven't been using Gemini for a while. But when I did, it was not, sorry. I felt that the output that I was getting out of it demanded more rework from me, more instructions, more refining, and it tended to be a bit long, the output, and not very strict to the point. But maybe it's better now, I don't know. It's been a couple of months, to be honest.
That's a lot in AI.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. We have a question for Julia and Rafa. How do you feel about managers expecting designers to work 10x faster, just like developers do with AI? Is that even realistic for design?
Tough. Thank you for the question. I am not feeling great about it. Maybe I can start with that. But we are actually, like, currently we are working faster now than without the tools. So I would say it is natural to expect the same from designers as from developers. I think that the thing that is changing as well is, I think I've mentioned that in your question, like in question to you, Matteo, that we are making our scopes bigger. So this is something that worries me more than working faster, because it's easy with the tools to work faster. And this is something that I don't feel strong in. I mean, we need to learn, and maybe it's good that the world around us is changing, because you are forced to learn new stuff, and it is always good to develop yourself as a designer and now as vibe coder. Rafa, maybe you want to add something?
Yes. To me, this is a bit challenging. It's what's most challenging, you know, about what's happening today in the industry, because you're expected as a designer to produce the same amount of output but faster, right? But then a trade-off needs to be made, because, you know, resources are limited. You cannot keep quality and go as fast as expectations, right? But that's a thing I know we designers learn to deal with, like manage with stakeholders and their expectations, right? And I think it's the most challenging part of the change that it's happening now in the industry, but it's also an amazing one, because it's precisely out of those situations where you can learn to navigate that situation, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have the resources. So it's kind of amazing too that we live through that and learn how to manage those expectations. I'm still a bit new, right? Everyone is. AI is just new. So I think the challenge is to keep the balance between speed and quality, knowing that at some point you need to make a trade-off in quality, but make that trade-off feel as little as possible. You know, there are magic tricks you can play too, so that keep the quality as elevated as possible, even if it's not, there's the perceived quality, right? What the customer perceives, even if the quality is not 100%, because you need to make a trade-off to go fast to the market, right? You can play with these little things, play magic tricks, but it's very challenging.
Right, let me read this one for Nastya. I completely agree that we need to communicate with the dev team more. What are your thoughts on how AI can assist in communicating with stakeholders?
Communicating with stakeholders, wow. Totally, it can help you to understand how you can communicate with them. But communicate AI and stakeholders, no. But as João said, like, use the hats like Brancheski, or you have other brains to rely on, and understand how you can make informed decisions that can really pass and can really make stakeholders understand that your problem or user's problem is the most important one and not the business one. I'm designer. I'm an advocate for users here. Yeah, please.
Something that I usually do, I mean, if I know I'm presenting to someone, to a specific stakeholder, and I know what they react best to, I try to embed that on how I'm planning to communicate something with AI, what they tend to push back on how should I phrase that to them, if they have a more direct communication style or not. So that helps me to prepare and to plan how I want to lay my case, for example.
Matteo, you've repeatedly said no Figma make. Why is that?
I knew
and
it
what's the
would
alternative
come back
to you?
and bite me in the ass. Why is that? For experience, honestly. Like I said, I'm mostly responsible for managing the design system that we have at OLX. And I always figured that if I have my design system built inside Figma and now I want to export it to Figma Make and use it to build a prototype, that would work, right? It's the same company, it's the same owner. Well, it didn't. It didn't because these two tools are built completely separately from each other. And unfortunately, it was visible to me during the process that it was way easier for me to grab the context of my design system and insert it into Claude or Cursor models than it was to insert it directly to Figma Make. Sorry for that.
And for you, you used Lovable,
Yeah.
and that worked better or not?
Yeah, it did, but it reminded me more of a conversation like I had with Claude or Cursor, just with a nicer UI under the hood. So yeah, I don't know what are the models underneath. I didn't check, but for some reason the output was just way better in other tools.
Thank you. To Rafa now, how do you develop enough taste to identify an AI slop?
I think it's most of the times it's common sense. You know, you read the output or the question, the answer that the AI gives, and you think like, oh, bro, what the fuck? You know, like it feels like it's not natural. It's not the answer that a normal human being would give to you if you are speaking with a colleague on your team, right? And the judgment you can tell is not there. But I think it's important to curate the taste or the judgment. I don't know, just surround yourself with beautiful things or things that make you feel pleasant, happy, and then just try to find out why they make you feel happy or pleasant, you know, find the underlying things behind things. Because most of the times, the important things are obvious and you are like taking them for granted. These things are shaping your taste, your judgment, how you see the world, how you approach to other people, how you know, everything. So I think, yeah, just take care of the things you consume, of the things that you go through, the books that you read, the music that you listen to, like the find out things, you know, and how they can help you, like design better things, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. To all, what do you think of product managers creating prototypes?
We can vote.
Yeah, actually, my manager created a prototype, and later we tested it with users. I was so happy she did it, because I didn't have time to do it. And of course, I verified the output, what was made by her, and I was super happy. She made it with Lovable, I think, and just great. I love it. So yeah, if I can pass something to front-ender or to product managers, I'm super okay with this, but I still own my domain, so it needs to be verified by me, and without me, I don't want anything to be put in on productions or be tested. But testing, creating, making suggestions, please do as much as possible, yeah.
I agree with what Nastya said. I would say it's great that they do so. I don't know about your company, but in ours, it's not that easy to create a prototype and then directly to deploy it to production. So yeah, if it were like this, I would be worried, that's for sure. But in our case, this serves like for exploration, for discovery, for testing it with users during early stages. So it's great that we can make the process faster, and actually it's also good because we are keeping product managers closer to us and our work, and maybe also they have a taste on how it is to be a designer, so it also makes the collaboration easier, in my opinion.
It does, yeah. Especially when you think about that the prototype is simply an artifact to streamline the communication between the teams. Like, we didn't invent prototypes as designers, okay? Like, I know we like to hold it on because it's a visual thing that we can actually ship, but in reality, it's also not something being shipped to production directly. So it's just a matter of better explaining your ideas and putting this on paper or on a clickable prototype before you actually make it to production. So if product managers do it, then yeah, I mean, let's do more. That means more time for us to do other things.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. I mean, let's face it, roles are blending more and more each day. So I think it's only natural that we are all prototyping more, experimenting more, sharing more with each other. And I agree with what Matheus just said. I mean, it's a tool for communication, it's a tool for alignment, and it's way easier to align on something visual that moves than on some bullets on a document. And for example, I want to be closer to the strategic part as well. So I want to blend into that role as well as a product designer, not just be building prototypes or just designing screens. So I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I very much agree with my colleagues there. Like, it's just a collaboration process, and it just helps streamline faster the work. You know, it's amazing that product managers can prototype now, because it's just like inputs, ideas, and the more ideas, the better. Like, you cannot design an experience in isolation, and you need to take into account everyone's input, right? Then you are the one that has the judgment to filter the feedback, to understand what to ship or what to not ship. You're still overseeing that, right? So it's amazing that we can all come up with new ideas, and the more, the better. The important thing is to refine what happens ultimately.
Rafa, is there a question that you don't answer with such an optimistic attitude? Because I mean, I want your your mindset.
I could give the bad part too. Like, actually, I'm experiencing more and more the bad side of this, which is there are, for example, something that is lost, and it's happening to me during the last months working with this with this way of working, AI first, right? Which is most of times you lose the feedback loops. You know, you oversee other parts of the experience, the AI slope, or the copywriters, how they come and jump into that process, or right, because speed is so fast now, and you can do things faster, then you oversee these parts, right? You lose some of the feedback loops, and I think that's a bad side of it. Definitely worth mentioning and worth taking care of it.
Thank you all. How do I start if my team does not use AI, and what can be the first step?
I think, Rafa, you talked about this a little bit at the end of your presentation, right? Just starting small, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like just take actions like in small steps, and or like how my colleagues have defined it. I would say, yeah, like what's your point of view? Like, how did you experience that, folks, in your daily work? Like to me, it's just like the collaboration opener, you know, and then you can throw out ideas and, I don't know, recommend Claude or other models the team can get started. I would say solve one very specific use case with the help of AI, and then see how it performs, and, you know, then compare what's working, what's not working, and then keep refining that process. But it can help to define one specific use case and get the team onboarded into solving that use case with AI, and document everything, see how it performs, and refine it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's easy if you start doing it yourself, and then sharing the work with the others. Maybe not exactly the outputs, like the outcomes of your process, but the process itself. Maybe you can even do it together during some workshops. Like, this is something that can be easily learned by looking at what people do to get to the point you want to get.
We actually have this case in OLX, and I'm not the best person here to speak about it. It's Fran, but he brought Lovable to the company, and he actually did what guys said. He asked for a trial. It was, I think, 1 month of trial, gave some credentials to designers, and said, you go. And after 1 month, we brought numbers to him, like it speed up our work by X, I don't know, times. It helped our developers to work better with us. And we saw the magic. And when you see the magic, you don't want to come back. And yeah, that was the case. And we have Lovable right now in the company. I don't know, Fran, if you want to add something about this. Sorry for bringing you in again.
No, I think the question depends on how big is your team, and obviously that is going to affect a lot what you can do. I think the Lovable attempt was last year. I think this scenario was a bit more ambiguous, so I think we were all trying to understand what this new era was bringing to us. I think now this year we have a way more structured approach to understand how this can impact on our work. So basically what we did, and this can be a bit more tactical for someone in the audience, is like we break down the design process, really understanding what are the stages that cover the work we do. And now we have a kind of a large team in Motors. So what we did is we allocate a couple of designers, 3 to 4 designers on each of these phases, and then they can go out and explore how can we optimize this phase. So the task they have basically is to run an experiment to understand what can be the right way of really accelerating this with AI. And this can be building agents, building skills, generating the context, as Joao mentioned before, using MCPs. There are a lot of different ways we can optimize the way we work. So now we are in this learning journey, right? We need to really understand, what is, because also we don't want to create more AI slop, as Rafa mentioned. We want to make sure that what we create brings value, and I think Mateo also pointed out that a lot can be created, but it's not everything useful, right? So we really need to understand what is the value that is bringing to us in a more structured way, running experiments, learning from those, and then really showcasing and proving what's the value that we're getting from it. So I think now we are I think we're getting better at understanding how we can accelerate the way we work with AI. But this is going to be a continuous learning, and I think more challenges will come soon, and we'll need to face them, right? I think I love what Rafa also brought to the table. I think it's the time to take action, right? I think there's no clear way of doing so. It's more of a mindset and really embracing the change and understanding how we can get better at this.
Thanks a lot.
Well said, friend. Talking about agents, skills, and more, we have a question around prompts. So how do you create prompts for Claude? Do you run them through another AI first, or do you do it manually?
I can start. I'm definitely not an expert on like prompt engineering, or I know that's a thing, right? But I did find a very interesting tip that I might be able to share. Who here is for whom English is the first like a native language in the audience? Is there anyone? No. I suppose. It's also not for me, right? Actually, it's nice before, of course, we work in English on a daily basis. That's, I mean, that's how we work, at least at OLX. But it's not my native language, so of course I can be more prescriptive in Polish, which is my native language, right? And in actually, different AI models all understand like different languages, and if you can be more precise in your natural language, then you can also start with that and then just transfer or switch to English when you want the output to have. I guess it works like that also with other languages. There were some studies, I just don't recall by heart, which were them, that actually using one of the Slavic languages for AI was being created more accurate results than it was with English. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in my Claude era, so I basically use Claude for that. But I tend to be thoughtful about my prompts and write them manually. What I sometimes do is, like, at the end of a conversation or a test that I'm doing, I ask Claude to, okay, but if I want to have a prompt for this for me to reuse, what would that prompt be? And it gives me a way tighter prompt to describe what I actually intend to do, and I tend to save it for reusing it later. What I did already do was use Claude to build prompts for Lovable, for example, because I feel I cannot communicate with Lovable. I feel that it doesn't get me at all. So yeah, so I explained to Claude what I want to do, and it gives me the prompts or the sequence of prompts for me to copy and paste on Lovable, and I get what I want.
Yeah, very quickly, same. I agree 100% with my colleagues. Like, I particularly got very lost with Lovable. I hate it. I try not to be very opinionated about things, but I hate Lovable. I hate Figma. I hate Figma Make too, but because of what I was explaining, there's a reason behind. It's more difficult to take the context behind design system, business, and everything. And then with Cloud, you are the owner, right? Like you can tell all these things. So yeah, very much aligned there.
Folks, we're definitely seeing the stocks down. Just joking. We have another question for you, folks. So it's about insights, Anastasia. Do you worry that AI's ability to make things faster and generate plausible insights could make teams less rigorous about validating assumptions?
Can I start? Yeah. I think there's a risk. I mean, there's a risk that people will get comfortable with the easiness of getting something from AI, and that's why I think it's very important that we keep being very mindful, thoughtful on taste, judgment, and direction. And that's what we cannot let go, and that's the layer that we put on top of what AI gives us. And I think that we need to have it as a deliberate effort and habit for us every day. Don't let go of taste, direction, and judgment. Because if you don't let go on that, you don't get lazy with all the insights and all the speed. And that's not what will slow it down. It probably will accelerate, because then you need to refine less what you're getting from AI, for example.
Yeah, I agree with you, João. And yeah, I think we all also need to build one more skill to us, is the ability to push back something. Even though it was made faster and generate good insights, but question yourself every time. Is it good to deliver to users? Validate with users. And yeah, we need to build this skill all together.
Gracias, that we say in Barcelona. Gracias. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. So I'm back to this passion that I confess you, the passion for the coding acronyms. We're navigating these online experiences, transformation through artificial intelligence, right? We're getting to decode that. We're walking the walk, and we wanted to walk this path together with you today. So we will continue to build in public, but thanks for making it, both the folks here in Barcelona together with the people online. It's been a pleasure so far. Another please round of applause for the speakers and for the panels. And thank you so much for your attendance.
Also, a round of applause for our hosts.